Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
This is So I'm Watching Riverdale, Season 7, Episode 8.
Chapter 125, Hoop Dreams.
This was a really good episode, and what is continuing to be a really good show.
It's unbelievable.
Really good scene. I'm, like, legit excited to watch it now.
Yeah.
And that's, like, I enjoyed last season, but there's a cohesion to this season.
Yes.
That has been desperately...
I agree. Because we, like, started out with the Riverdale last season, so that was, like, 6 episodes, and then there
super
was,
fun.
Like, yeah, super fun. But this does feel like I am hopeful. I am not...
optimistic?
I'm hopeful and optimistic, but I'm not 100% convinced the cohesion is going to stay once we do jump back to the present. But because it's directly tied to the past, I'm hoping.
I'm not trying to figure it out. I'm not trying to figure it.
I'm sort of done with
because
that.
I'm just sort of enjoying it, and I'm devastated how timely it is.
Yeah.
I hate that. That's not the show's
No, it's not the show's
fault, but there is a pain, but also a catharsis. We did get Reggie Mantle back. Charles didn't do a ton of acting, like it wasn't like The Range, but I think it's kind of one of the...
I'm going to disagree with you.
Okay.
Because I think it was the other end of his range. It was a very internal performance, and especially once he explained to Archie why, it made sense why he was acting that way. Because I think most of the men on this show, but like as I said in our watch along, if you want, you can join the $3 tier on Patreon, patreon.com/soimwatching, and you can watch the show along with us. I think he is the hottest guy on the cast, and like that has ever
That's always been true.
Yeah, but I think he falls into that same category of being so hot that you don't recognize his chops, and I think he's actually pretty good, except he's always just like almost always like over the top villainy. And so like having him pull back and do something more internal, I think was nice.
I think that is true. I didn't mean it as shade. I just meant it wasn't a showy performance.
No. Yeah, which
and this is it's like a campy show. Yeah. It is easy to and often expected to go big.
But I was getting real tied between Four Log Cabins vibes. He just was like that this Reggie would build you a sleigh bed out of oak and devotion without question.
Well, that's sort of what I meant, where I was like, Reggie always felt a little bit like an afterthought.
Yeah.
And in spite of the fact that we waited till the 8th episode to introduce him this season, it
feels deliberate.
It was plot based.
Yeah.
And he felt like an active character in the story and the show in a way that was appreciated.
Yeah.
I like what they're doing. They're playing a dangerous game, and they are coming out pretty strong.
I like him. I'm very curious. Did they get new writers this season or something? I'm very curious what changed, because this is like, you're totally right. This is like very cohesive. And even the stuff where on like first glance, we are like cringing and like, oh my God, how are they going to pull this out? They are doing it almost flawlessly.
They're striking a good balance, because the issue when you're dealing with such heavy subject matters and such politically timely charged subject matters is a show like this tackling material like that. The risk is that it can come off as trite or offensive, because it's balancing those tones is really difficult. And that's where I think that they're excelling this season, because within seconds of introducing him, of meeting him this episode, they make a point, I think Archie, I can't remember who, but they made a point to say Korean, say that he's Korean. And to my memory, I mean, I'm sure that was probably said before, especially in some of the stuff with his dad, but I don't remember it really being acknowledged in a way that my initial gut was, do we need to do this? But then watching it, I'm like, yeah, we do. This is actually really...
We actually really, really do, because it's 1955, so we are right off the heels of the Korean War. And so it is, you know, it's obviously repulsive, but it's like vaguely understandable why some of the other Riverdale citizens are acting this way about Reggie, but it's also this again though, with the character work that these storylines are doing for Archie, because he literally,
that's what I was about to.
The rose-colored glasses on this pretty boy are.
That's
so
what I was
pink.
about to say, is because it's like it's doing the work for Reggie,
Yeah.
but it's also doing the work for the rest of the show, for the other, like, and by that I didn't get from this episode that they were using him as a prop to further the white people story. I didn't get that.
No, it didn't feel that way to me either. And I think also an interesting thing is that Frank does not seem to be on the Clifford Blossom side, because he and Archie shared significant eye contact in that mixer scene where Archie was like kind of confused and he and Frank like made eye contact and Frank was like, you know, like pull back or whatever. And so, and Mary seems to have no problem either. So I enjoyed those parts of it.
It's really interesting. And I have a friend who is part Korean, and growing up that never factored in to my knowing her. You know, it was never really a thing. And we had a conversation recently where, you know, after certain elections, things happened and people were like, we should talk about stuff. And apparently it was part of her life. It's part of her identity in ways that me, the white person who's friends with her, never noticed or never realized. And so I think it's very tricky to navigate, because it's like you don't want to tokenize people, but also at the end of the day, it is part of who they are.
100%.
And that was kind of all over this episode, because I didn't fully get, I'm not fully getting the Toni story.
No, me neither. That was like such a weird just like circle that she did for seemingly no reason. And I feel like the thing is like she's all about like, I don't want to be judged and like all of this stuff, and like I'm in a motorcycle gang and whatever, and but then all she's doing is judging Cheryl harder than Cheryl ever judged her.
It's giving me that Hot Topic kid from high school where
Lizzo is the instigator. I don't like her. I'm saying it officially.
With your full chest.
Officially with my full chest. I don't like her. She's super weird. It's such a weird presence on the show.
Because
also, she just was like, what did she say to Toni at the beginning? She was like, that's what you like it because she's got an expiration date because like blah, 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 whatever. And I was like, you're making that up. Like, and also like, why does she want to come for you? You're like, she's just so aggressive. I don't like it.
It's just, it's giving me, like I said, that like Hot Topic kid in high school. Granted, we were in high school in 2003, but it was like that whole like, you wouldn't understand because you're one of the normies and I'm weird. And I'm like, but you're perpetuating that, not me.
Yeah.
And yes, absolutely, Cheryl has heaps of privilege that Toni doesn't have.
Of course.
And she handled it well when Toni, like, used it against her, because she was like, is part of the reason why you broke up with me because I'm white? And Toni was like, that's one of the many reasons that factored in. And Cheryl took it. Like,
she took it well.
There's a way to take that
with grace.
Yeah, poorly.
And but that's the thing for me, though, that annoyed me the most about Toni in this episode is that she was like, I can't keep doing this or whatever. And I was like, so you aggressively pursued Cheryl, made her confront this thing about herself and get in a serious relationship with you. And then when she said she wanted to go steady, you were like, whoa, where's this coming from?
I will say, because I in Toni's defense, it is the normativity of it all. Because it was more so.
She didn't give Fangs a hard time for wanting to go steady with Midge, wanting to get married to Midge. That's way more square than going steady in high school.
It's weird. I think the reason why I'm as confused as I am is because I'm aware that this plot line is ongoing.
Yes,
and so in a weird way, it was just sort of like wheel spinning because she like broke up with Cheryl
and got back together.
Kind of, yeah. And so I don't fully get that. And that is one of the places where I think they are struggling a little bit more between the 1950s and the 2020s of it all.
Yeah. Well, I do think it's kind of the sort of thing where Toni, because at the end she was like, I wondered if you might want to go to the dark room and then we could like maybe talk about what it might be like if we try it again. And so for me, the thing that annoys me is that she's punishing Cheryl for things that are out of Cheryl's control that she never told Cheryl were an issue in the first place.
Yes, and I do want to say that there is an authenticity. That is part of the issue with queer relationships when one of the people
is more out.
Yeah. These things do sort of happen. And you can, I mean, it's probably for the best that Cheryl, crossed these hurdles, but you're correct. Toni sort of pushed her out of that nest, and then it's like, well, if you could fly better, and it's like,
I wasn't ready. My wings are underdeveloped.
And I mean, and I think that because there's also a learning curve. I mean, when you are the more closeted person, you tend to take the word of the non-closeted person as gospel, and I think, least we forget, at least on the show, these are teenagers. Like, I like the notion that maybe Toni, if this is what they're doing, that maybe Toni doesn't know who she is or what she wants entirely.
And I'm not counting on this, but I would love if at some moment, because this goes back to, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, the issue that I was having where I was like, Toni doesn't have anything else to lose because we know that her grandmother is supportive, but like, I would love at some point if Toni is like getting annoyed with Cheryl and Cheryl is like, if I get kicked out of my house for being in a lesbian relationship with you, I have nowhere to go.
Cheryl has so much to lose.
And I feel like Toni is not giving her enough grace for that. Like not understanding her side of it as well, which if you're going to be in a real relationship, you have to. Because
that like party scene was breathtaking.
Yeah.
It like, and I don't mean Penelope Blossom's
dress,
gown, her hair, and it is no secret that we love Natalie Bolt, but Natalie Bolt, you are doing amazing. Sweetie. It's so good. I just like,
it's fantastic.
I do. There's more to talk about, and we're going to talk about it. Veronica was in rare form this episode. I thought it was hilarious.
Everyone is giving Betty such a hard time for being horny, and meanwhile, Veronica is like trying to climb every mountain.
Yes, but everyone is trying to restrain Betty.
Yeah.
And Veronica's like clattering on pots and pans, trying to get someone to pay attention to her.
And she's also do you know what my favorite part about it is though? Is like, and it's not even because Clay and Kevin are gay, but like she is striking out left, right, and center. she can't give it away. And like that is hysterical to me.
But it's if you've been following our coverage, Veronica's one of those characters that I've struggled with. She's not always my favorite, but this episode in particular really does go to show you that Camilla has a stranglehold on the characterization of Veronica. It just depends on the material that she has to work with.
I think she's done the best she can with the characterization, given that they have had her like plot lines all over.
Because this is accurate. Veronica is meant to be a little bit unlikable. She's meant to be a prissy sort of like Betty's the girl next door.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I guess we are officially done with the Veronica and Jughead stuff too, by the way. I'm like fucking furious, actually.
She was kind of like,
he's a weirdo. Do you see how
have you ever seen him with that stupid cap? That's weird, right? In that dumb train that I decorated.
Yeah, what the hell? She was like making fun of the train.
Imagine.
Don't worry, whatever. Tabitha loves it. Tabitha has taste.
But I was about to be, imagine that you're 17 years old and your like tortured greaser boyfriend lives alone in a well-appointed train car?
He's not a greaser, he's a beatnik.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm on your team though.
Like, yeah. So Veronica, she owns the Babylonium. She hired Kevin. Well, she called him a slur like 3 different times, 3 different ways.
Not officially, but
didn't she?
Well, she called him and Clay both flutterbums, which I'm not sure I appreciate that one. But you said she called him a slur when she was like, "You can't be back to see Singing in the Rain again. You have to have the whole thing memorized." Just like unbelievable.
And she hit on, you're right, striking out, because she hit on Reggie, and he was like, "No thanks." He was not interested. And
well,
so,
I don't know. He might open up to it now that like he's overcome like half of his stuff, but
So she did get confirmation from Kevin or Clay, one of them.
From Kevin.
They're both.
Kevin's just out here outing Clay to everyone and their mother.
That's one of the places that I'm like, I'll let it go. Like, I'm not going to be a stickler for that, but that is one of the places where they're really splitting, like, they're having their cake and eating it too.
Because Toni too, like, it would be one thing if she was talking to Clay, because I assume she knows about Clay, but like, I don't know that Tabitha knows about anybody. And then Toni was just like, well, I got a crush on a girl and that's why I joined cheerleading. And I was like, like, what are we doing? And then Clay also was like, it's tough for me and Kevin too. And I was like, you guys are in the like student like room at school. People are everywhere. And it's just like, they haven't done anything with it yet. So I don't think they're going to, but it still makes me nervous every time because Julian Blossom is like mist and he could just appear anywhere and start throwing slurs around. He called them lug nuts in this episode, like the basketball players.
The words, all the old timey.
It's so fun.
Only because they have committed.
Yeah.
I would be annoyed if we got like one or two and then they didn't have
it's
the gumption.
constant.
It's constant.
Yeah.
I loved it. There is a part of me that is slightly furious that we could have just been watching this show the whole time.
I know, me too.
1950s Riverdale the whole time.
Let's watch Pan Am when this is over.
Yeah, I guess that's largely that. Tabitha is back. She was on tour with Lucas Till's.
But
Emmett Till.
Lucas Till.
The second I said that, I was like, why am I seeing blonde hair?
Yeah.
Emmett Till's mother.
Yeah. It also appears to be real Tabitha, not Angel Tabitha. But I can't
They're
tell.
the same.
No, there are two of them.
I don't believe.
I'm pretty sure in that first episode she said
She was so familiar with. Okay.
with what?
Jughead. Okay.
But they knew each other before.
Okay.
Like vaguely.
Okay.
He was supposed to be sending her. But I'm pretty sure Angel Tabitha was like, the other Tabitha is like going away and I have to do this.
That's fine. I'll let that. And so she largely got back.
I think there would have been
working with Jughead.
I think there would have been a lot more like desperately longing looks coming from her.
Okay.
From Aaron Westbrook.
Aaron Westbrook.
Yeah. If that was the Tabitha that knows.
I mean, I don't think she knows, but regardless.
Well, Angel Tabitha does know. That's why there's like a Tabitha.
Tabitha is back.
Yeah.
And she's hanging out with Jughead, meet cuting all over the place. They've met, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And she wants to start a book club for the black students in school.
Well, that's what Toni wants to do.
Toni wants to do that.
Because that's how she and Cheryl get back together. Is Cheryl pushes through her like application without telling Featherhead, which
that's
is gonna
come back.
Yeah,
that's really gonna come back, and Toni is going to be all too happy to blame Cheryl for it.
Oh, you think? That would suck.
Yeah. So, and they did find that Brad Rayberry is dead. We didn't see there was a body.
Yeah.
In a body bag.
Also, Jughead stuck a note to his door with gum, with chewed gum.
You screamed.
It was horrible. Jughead, that's so rude.
It actually is very fitting. I was like, yeah, he would.
It's fitting, but it's horrible. Also,
and they claim he hanged himself, which
that milkman, absolutely.
But I want to know how the milkman works.
Me too.
If like Ethel's parents, it's like stab a clock.
Yeah.
But then he hangs this guy. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't. It doesn't smell right. That whole.
I thought you were gonna stop, and I was like, no, it smells a lot. Like,
it doesn't smell right. Archie continued his fantabulous work, leading. Howdy
doody, Betty.
Yeah, leading man work.
It's unreal.
And just his stuff, like he just is Archie now. Like he just is Archie.
So good.
And he like took up for Reggie, and he like all of his material with Betty. Reggie was being super weird. Was it just keeping everybody at a distance?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
I had a theory for a minute there. He was maybe a robot because he kept turning down food.
Yeah. It was specifically food based a lot. But he had gotten recruited to Stonewall Prep, and the rich private school assholes at Stonewall Prep.
It was the same one. It was the same guy. Yeah.
Were just like super racist and horrible to him, filled his locker with rice. Which again, it's like I said in our thing. I was like, if you're gonna be racist, stop highlighting the coolest parts about the race that you're trying to be mean. I just everybody likes rice.
What do you make delicious food? Here's some free. No.
It's just like saying, oh, when are you getting a taco? And I'm like, yeah, I will. Thank you. I love tacos. And I just keep bringing it back to the Rings of Power. Because they just kept calling the elves knife ears. And I was like, that is so dope. I don't understand. You're doing racism wrong. Like, and I just, whatever. So Reggie was keeping everybody at arm's length because he didn't want to go through what he was going through again. And Archie very, again, naively was like, well, it's not like that here. And Reggie was like, idiot. And then
it'd be like that though.
No, it does. And I do love that has been a through line for all 7 seasons, that Archie truly believes that Riverdale is the place to be.
It's good.
Like he got it from Fred. He came by it honestly. He thinks that at its heart, Riverdale is good. And I love that is still what he's kind of fighting for. What a good series through line.
I live in Florida. I understand the struggle.
So he basically Julian is icing Reggie out, and Clifford says a bunch of racist stuff at the party. And so Archie fucking cold cocks Julian right in the face, knocks him on his ass. Amazing. And he basically was like, I don't care if you don't want to be friends with Reggie, but we're a team.
Least we forget he's doing us the favor here.
100%. And so Reggie came
and
around.
I even liked,
he went for food.
Yeah. Yeah. And I even liked Archie talking to Reggie after the fact in the locker room, where he was like, I didn't do that because I think you need saving.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I didn't think about it until the scene happened, but I was like, oh, that's a really good point. Is there anything else? I think that's largely
Betty was forced to join the River Vixens because she has to curb her physical energy or something.
I don't remember how they phrased it, but
because Hal talked to Dr. Werther's, and I'm like, she read that book. I just need Betty to masturbate. It's absolutely ridiculous. And then she got assigned Reggie for her personal bulldog or whatever.
Make cookies.
It's like Pep Squad kind of a thing. And she ended up telling him the entire story, and he was like, yeah, we don't really flash our panties in Duck Creek, so I'm gonna go. And it was so funny.
She can't give it away.
I know.
Her and Veronica. It keeps going back to that. Like these are two of the most beautiful women you've ever seen in your life. Riverdale sixes.
I don't get it. But she just sort of was like, everyone is making her feel bad about having sexual urges, and
hey,
I don't know.
Welcome to being a woman, a young woman in this world.
I've been here for a lot of years. I don't know. It's so ridiculous.
There's probably some more details. And if we missed it, we'll get to it, next week. Because like I said, this has just been a total blast.
That was the largest part of it.
Yeah, it's been a total blast in a time where it is needed.
Yeah, it's been so fun. And next week is extra horny Betty. She's making
out with everybody.
She's having imaginings about everybody, and the episode is called Betty and Veronica Double Digest.
So it's going to be a one,
I think it's going to be
about them being horny. Yeah. I'm telling you, I wonder how. I feel like we might end up in a Sense8 place.
Where they're just all
well, there's just a giant orgy to opera music, because I just want so desperately to get Betty and Veronica in one window and Archie and Reggie in another window.
Yeah, well, because Reggie is living with Archie so that he can be in the district, I assume. Because that's what they were at the party. They were like, thanks for taking one for the team, Archie. And he was like, it's whatever. He literally, it's his little tiny brain can't even comprehend that there's anything different about Reggie. And he just,
it's great. I love rice.
Yeah, he's so much fun. But he just is no, Reggie's great. I like him a lot. It's cool. And everybody else is just being as racist as possible. And
I meant to say earlier when you were talking about Charles Melton, his performance.
Yeah.
I do know that he is good and capable of good, because he was particularly funny on History of the World, paired with Dove Cameron. She was the Duchess.
Oh, that's right. Anastasia,
she was the Duchess Anastasia, and
yeah.
he was a like Jewish
stable boy or something, right? Yeah. He also was in an episode of that Ryan Johnson show, Poker Face, and he was quite good in that as well. Really interesting.
So okay, well, let us know what you think, and please like and subscribe. In case anyone is a regular and still watching, we're in a slight kind of transition period. Yeah. We're taking a soft break, not a hard break or anything like that. So just be on the lookout for content as it's coming. We will be picking things back up again soon.
Yep.
So, yeah. Okay.
Bye.
Hear it and